got 10 minutes to fit this in. So here we go. I'm Richard Wallis, and I come from a company called Talix. Getting on for 40 years ago, there was a load of courageous guys milling around on a rock about 200,000 miles away. And they kind of got there with computing power that was less than this. And some of the things they were doing we can learn from. But meanwhile, back on a slightly bluer rock, in the basement of Birmingham University, there was a load of guys putting a slightly larger computer together. And that was there to help people manage this lot, library books. And as you probably know, librarians spend a lot of their time describing books, etc., so that we, the public, can find them. And they found they were spending too much time creating these things, so they started to cooperate together to find an open, shareable standard that they could interoperate with between libraries. Does this sound familiar at all? And they produced this, a machine-readable, note that phrase, a machine-readable catalogue record. So instead of putting bits of card in here, they were starting to put machine-readable records in these things so that they can interact with each other and start sharing standards, etc. Let's roll forward in time, a little stop for a firework display at the turn of the millennium, and we end up at the 2007, when we start to see the Open Linked Data Cloud appearing, where people are using machine-readable records with standards that they kind of agreed on, not totally, but to publish data. And we can see the book world is already in there with the RDF book mashup and Project Gutenberg. At the same time, the organisation that put those washing machine-looking computers in Birmingham University had evolved to become Talix, one of the 10 semantic applications to watch. I don't know how a company can be an application, but never mind. And at that time, we were spreading the word and started to train people in how to use RDF and the difference between a web page and the thing it describes, which was then published as linked data in the format that most of the room would recognise. Let's flip forward a little bit further to March 2009, when this man had a word in the ear of this man while we were having lunch, and he listened, and we ended up with this, which was a major achievement, and this guy was really chuffed. And I agree with him. And by then, in the spring of 2009, we'd moved to this point with the Linked Open Data Cloud, showing that the principles that were espoused earlier on about openly sharing standards, not too rigidly, having machine-readable records, grows global information so we can all interact. And yes, he was quite chuffed about that as well. But it wasn't just these guys that were doing something. As we've heard earlier, the American government have been doing things, and other people are doing it as well. Australia and Finland and Denmark, and I could go on and on. But also we've heard today people are saying, but yeah, show me the worth. So about March of this year, a government department, UK government department, pulled some of this linked data together to build a visualisation to help them sell UK PLC as a centre of research. By bringing linked data together from various departments, they could show that value. Very early prototype, but it's gone a long way to move that along. Then this happened, and we were all a little bit concerned. Would we lose the momentum? Would this dynamic duo move on with the open data? Well, we needn't have worried, because in the first week we got a letter from the Prime Minister actually telling government departments what they were going to release by when. And interestingly, this time, they also had to go at local governments. Local government were told to publish their spending data over £500 by this coming January. We got a reaction from local governments, which I characterised as that from a lot of people going, you can't publish my data. Fortunately, people in local government, like in other areas, had enthusiasts already doing things, so people at Lichfield were already publishing data of various sorts. People in London were moving in that direction, and people outside local government were also harvesting data and opening it up. On the back of Saturn's raw data now mantra, lots of data was being published, and with this edict from central government, we had the first UK local authority publish their spending data openly. Other cities around the world are copying this kind of thing. Other cities and states around the world are copying this kind of thing, but we're in a bit of a unique place in the UK at the moment. We're the only country where there's been an edict to local authorities saying, all of you, publish your spending data by a certain date. So from their letter, which waving from behind there. We've ended up in the UK with a bit of a unique position where for a very short period of time we had the opportunity to lead the way in something like this. How do you get local government on a national basis published to the wider world? There have been things to try and help that. We've offered free link data stores to all the local authorities to do it, and there's also a project that we're working with the LGID, who are a local government organisation, where all the practitioners from local government cooperate in something called the Knowledge Hub to work out how they're going to do things, what best practice there is, with an organisation called the ESD Toolkit, which a lot of local authorities use to help them publish their data, to build something that looks like this, which is basically a load of local authorities publishing their data in various methods, either via the ESD Toolkit or various other mechanisms from their suppliers of finance systems, etc., into these free triple stores, and then to build an aggregate of those local authority data so we can start querying across all of them. The two key outputs of this are, one, to see the community of those local authority practitioners who wonder what the hell's going on and why they should be doing this kind of thing, and to give them some very simple visualisations that they can copy and build on to use on their own websites, and most importantly, a feed from that aggregation so anybody else can take that data and put it into their own stores, build their own applications on top of it, etc. So with people like this in the marketplace, Chris Taggart, the local have been harvesting a lot of data and publishing it. Spotlight on Spend are doing similar things for their customers. And even some of the software suppliers are actually starting to output automatically linked data. Now at the moment, there's quite a little bit of focus because of this local government activity on the UK at the moment. And we have the opportunity, if we all cooperate in this space, that we can settle this man and not worry him too much and start linking the data that they publish with other data sets that are out there to be consumed by organisations and the media that want to monitor it and people that want to highlight particular views on that data. We can move from a point where we've got spacecraft data, which is already in linked data form, and spending data into linked data form, so that it can all become part of the linked data cloud, which will make this man very happy, and actually it'll make me quite very happy. I'm Richard Wallis, I'm from Wallis, thank you.